Light side, is it? Light side. Asking about lights. Hmm. Here's what I use. These are $20, $25 LED floodlights. Get two of them, 200-watt LED floodlights. Two of them in a pack. Get two of them, 200-watt LED floodlights. Two of them in a pack. Get two of them, 200-watt LED floodlights. There. That's why I start early. So get organized. What is bubbling? um, Michelle Tanasescu. Good evening to you. A request. Trilobendibacterian. Cinnabona Perlaquara. All right, I'm going to translate that. You do. Antra. Labendibacteria. Oh, bacteria. What kind of bacteria? Antra. Don't know what that is. But generally speaking, yes, bacteria are critical in the tank, and the more you have, better. Ruby, let's see. Let's get a few wrenches going here. And Ruby's Ranch is going away. What? All right. Weight loss prepper. Psycho plant lady. 2-foot chopsticks. Well, yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you. Look at this. Look at this. See this? Look at that. What this represents is between the 16th and the 17th, there have been 1,500 subscribers in one day. 1,500 subscribers in one day. Boggles the brain. And that ain't the worst of it. We're averaging right now 350,000 views a day. Now, a big part of that is the shorts, probably half of it. And of course, the immense library of videos. But there are over 100,000 new people looking at the channel every day. Of those, 1,000 of those are signing up. And of those, they're all looking at more videos. If this is not what viral is, then I really can't imagine. The numbers are such that at this rate, we could easily hit million subscribers by the end of 24. It's about 45,000, 50,000 a month. So in 10 months, that's 5,000, 500,000, sorry. These numbers escape me. And if the rate continues, then I think there's a possibility we can make it. Now, the other consideration, and a very real one, is that this is a flash in the pan, and it'll level off or drop back. I expect it to level off. If you look at the entire history of the channel, I don't know if I can do this. Let's see. Here's the history of the channel. For the last 1 month. Let's go back 1 year. And what this is, as of December, look at this. As of December the 5th, 8th, 10th, look at that. That's a straight up line. A week ago, nearly 2 weeks ago, we were at 57,000 views a day. Today, we're at 413,000 views on the 16th. That was yesterday. In 2 weeks. It's really astounding. I don't frankly know quite what to attribute it to. I don't know if it's going to continue or it's a flash in the pan. I just don't know. But there it is. So, anybody have any insight? Meat, father fish is fine. Impeccable flowing. See if we can get you a wrench. We already got it somehow. Samaria and impeccable. Yeah, already got them. Well, that's an interesting take, Mocker. I hope that's true. I trust it is. I certainly believe it is. Where we go? Right there. Get you wrench, Janet. Thank you, Janet. We get a bunch of these wrenches passed out here. East. Andrew, hello. Andrew Foley and Andrew Fenna. Discord has exploded. Yeah, it has. We hit 10,000, I think, in Discord. Who's timing who out here? Well, we don't need to be quite that uptight. I will permit BS. I will permit BS. It's a good question. I mean, it's a good observation, really, um, because they do make a serious effort to be serious and say things worth saying. Talib Latif, add moderator, get you a wrench. So, Mocker, don't take it personal. We're okay. I don't think I can take that off. Now, these are not finches, David. They're canaries. I have a pair of canaries. They're both very young, less than a year old. The female has laid a total of 3 eggs over the last month and a half or so. Nothing has hatched. The first was 1 egg she sat on for a week and it disappeared. Then she sat on 2 eggs for about a week and they disappeared. So don't quite know what's happening, but I think they'll get it together. Patty says the method is making waves in the hobby. It certainly is, isn't it? Let's see, who says? Uh, Larissa. Thank you, Larissa. Spreading the word about the fatherfish method in the land hermit crab world. Great use for old tanks when we upgrade our crab habitats. And that crabs love a natural dirt, a deep substrate. They like to dig. Now, here's the thing about hermit crabs. They go on land and dig down to water. They dig down to the water table, so they can be in water to be able to keep their gills wet, but then come out without exposing themselves to predation. Remarkable little animal. William is saying, I remember one specific video you mentioned about 7 months ago. It was about fish food options, live culture. You mentioned the guy's channel. It's like 1,000 video. Might have been Phillips at that point. There are a couple of guys who have just started channels in the last. Actually, they're kind of popping up everywhere. Almost one a week. New deep substrate natural tank channels starting up. It's really exciting to see. There was one fellow. Um, I I posted his link on Discord. Had a really interesting take. Playing with the substrate, he mixed sand and a very fine gravel in with about a half an inch of soil, and then added an inch of sand to the top of it. Doesn't have a lot of plants. His plants at this point are primarily epiphyte types. They're Anubias and Java fern. But he does have a few stem plants. The tank is staying very clear. He did it because he wanted to be able to aerate the soil. Now, there's considerable discussion about that. Our research indicates that the soil in a pond, which would equate to a tank, has no oxygen penetration into the substrate beyond a quarter to a half an inch. None whatsoever. It's completely anaerobic. which means that the bacteria that are in the substrate are releasing oxygen from the organics in order to be able to oxygenate the soil. So it's compensating, the system is compensating. The critical component, of course, is to have an adequate bioload or diversity to be able to allow that to happen, which really points to the requirement for a food web in order to have a genuinely natural tank. We didn't see that for a good while. It wasn't until about 2 years ago that the importance of a food web became very clear, and it grew out of work being done in organic gardening. If you notice the last video I published makes the comment to think garden. And what I mean by that is that the aquarium is a garden. And if you treat it as a garden by having all of the material in the garden that's required in order for the soil, the substrate to be rich and to be filled with life, then you're going to be on the right track. And of course, it was the putting organic material into that soil at the very top on the surface layer that the organic gardeners began to understand the importance of having biologicals active on the very top level of the substrate or of the soil in order to be able to permeate then with the breakdown from those, which is the organic material, the compounds, the minerals, and so forth that are required by the plants. So it all kind of happened together. It wasn't until some serious breakthroughs in organic gardening occurred that we began to understand the importance of treating the aquarium the same way as an organic garden. And it's, by golly, it's working. It's just kind of amazing. Let's see. ProPyro Power. I had piranhas, red bellies, 3 of them. Got them to a postage stamp. Ground was kitty litter sized gravel. Well, that this doesn't disprove anything. A good fish keeper, a competent fish keeper who understands what they're doing, is able to maintain an aquarium in a healthy, stable condition with virtually any substrate and virtually any water they choose under virtually any conditions. If you want to pour a can of food into your tank a day and you learn how to take care of that, you'll be able to maintain it. That's really not the issue. The issue is not to prove that there's another way to keep fish. Obviously, there are an infinite number of ways to keep fish. There are an infinite number of ways to maintain aquariums. This is a way that a brand new first time fish keeper can put into place. It's simple, it's straightforward, it is 90% effective. Why do I say 90%? Because you can mess it up. You can do it wrong. You can screw around with it. There's so many ways to mess it up too much dirt, not enough sand, too much compost, any number of ways to mess it up. If you follow the formula, it'll work. It'll work every time. So there's that. The other issue is it creates an environment that requires very little maintenance, next to none, grows plants successfully and effectively. It may not grow them to the extent that a fertilized system or a CO2 system can grow them, but it will grow them in a way that is utterly and completely natural. Will not grow them in a way that is unnatural, as is the case with CO2 or fertilizer. It's not an unnatural system. It's a natural system. So yeah, I know there are plenty of people who are really good at keeping their fish in bare tanks or in 1 inch of gravel or in marbles or in whatever else they dream of. God bless them. If that's what you want to do and that's your system and you're willing to do what's required to maintain it, it's your tank, your fish, your system, your choice. Try this sometime. See if you don't fall in love with it. Talib Latif. Somebody here said their tank is murky brown. Don't worry about it, whoever you are. The tannins are good for your tank. And I lost the comment. It will clear up. It will clear up. Director saying, now that my wife found my secret tanks, I can start filming them. Well, bravo. Natural and patience. What kind of light do I recommend? Frankly, I recommend the cheapest 100-watt light you can find. They're LED floodlights. You can lay them right on top of the tank like these. I got 4 of them here. If I had them up high, I could get away with 2, maybe 3. I got them sitting on glass and plastic. And they're hot on the top. They're not particularly hot on the bottom. The heat goes up, it doesn't go down. I discovered what this cloudiness is. It's algae. I've got a green algae growth in here because I don't have enough plants. I pulled out a lot of plants a couple of weeks ago and I've not planted it heavily enough. I have a lot of plants, but we've been selling them so fast and so hard. I haven't had any left to bring over and put in my tank. So that's what I have to do. I got to get more plants in here. Chris Foe. Let's see if we can get you a wrench. Chris. New subscriber from Brisbane. Oh, nice. Well, good luck, Chris. Make sure you get involved over on Discord. It's an absolutely wonderful site. There are a number of terrific fish nerds over there who are completely tuned into deep substrate natural aquariums. They will teach you how to do that. They're not going to teach you how to do anything else because that's not what we're doing. We're doing natural substrate. So come on over and learn how to do it. How do I start a resurrection jar and why do we create them? Says Janet. Find a body of water with some leaves in it. Gather the leaves, put them in the jar with some water, not too many, not too much, a little bit. Put it in the jar and bring it home. Put it in the windowsill, let the sun hit it. Now, if you're getting a lot of afternoon sun, it could heat it up too much and kill everything. So be mindful of that. Make sure you're not overheating your water. Why are we doing that? We're doing it initially to get you over the idea that putting anything in from nature is poisonous and deadly, because it's not. It's actually quite the opposite. The reality is, let me do this. Let's take as an example ick. Virtually everyone has suffered an ick infestation. It happens in a tank that is too clean. Hear me out. It doesn't happen in a tank that's foul. It doesn't happen in a tank that's being overfed. It happens in a tank that is super clean. A fish will come in with a parasite on it, an ick parasite. You may miss it. You may not see it. Put it in the tank. 2 days later, 1 day later, it drops off into the bottom. A day and a half later, there are now 240 of those little baby ick parasites coming up into the water column looking for hosts. You won't see them. They will attach to the host. You won't see them, not for at least a day, maybe 2 days, before they have burrowed into the fish and eaten enough fluids in the fish to begin pooping out the white waste that is the sign that you have a parasite. That white spot is not a parasite. It is the waste from the parasite. That parasite has been in the fish 1 to 2 days already. Now, if you miss that, or you don't do anything right away, or you put a little chemical in the water, it'll drop down. Every one of those 240 will breed 240 more each. Now you're at a level going into day 4 and 5 where the thousands of ick parasites come up into the water column. They're invisible, they're microscopic, you cannot see them. They latch onto virtually every fish in the tank, burrow in. Within 2 to 3 days, you see the fish covered in white spots. That fish, 90% of the time, cannot be saved. It's too late. The parasites that are in it are already extracting so much fluid from it that it will surely die. So, 2 things. Number 1, you have to be diligent and act quickly when you see the ick parasite. Not 1 spot, but 2. If you see 2, you're in trouble. Raise the temperature to 87 degrees. I used to say 86, but too many got it up to 85, and it wasn't quite warm enough. 87 degrees. Do not worry about whether the fish or plants or other animals in the tank can tolerate that. They will tolerate it or they will be dead. If you don't do it, they will be dead. So bring it up to 87. In nature, the water in ponds and creeks and standing water near the equator goes into the 90s routinely. It is not too hot. They will be fine. It's only going to be for a few days. Once the spots are gone, wait a day, wait 2 days. If nothing comes back, lower it to 82. This is where the 82 that everybody is up in arms about comes from. 82 will prevent the recurrence of the ick parasite pretty effectively. It's not 100%, but it works pretty effectively. If you see it again, kick it right back up and you'll get rid of it. Okay, that's that. Let's look at what happens to the ick parasite when it gets into a tank like this, into a natural substrate tank, into a tank that has been inoculated with resurrection jar material, with the 1,000 species of bacteria that live in that ditch out in your backyard, with the hundreds of species of algae, the hundreds of species of macrofauna and microfauna that are living in that environment. You bring all of them in. Oh, but what about parasites? It's really too late to worry about parasites. You've already got parasites taking over and destroying your perfectly clean tank. You're not controlling parasites by keeping your tank clean. Here's the secret. 50%, half of all macro and microfauna, that's the little microscopic animals, half of them are parasites. So, are you bringing parasites into your tank? You betcha you are. Absolutely. And what is the effect of that? They control each other. They are parasites not on big fish, they are parasites on each other. I have seen new fish in this tank twice with an ick parasite. I never saw it again. It did its job, it dropped to the bottom, it was taken care of. All of the other parasites in the tank controlled it. Of the 240 that hatched, in point of fact, not one survived. Now, there might have been one or two, and the same thing would have happened again. And there might have been one or two, but eventually none would have survived. You do not find in nature the kind of rabid, overwhelming parasite infestation of ick in nature that you find in a clean aquarium. Let me say that again. I have been in nature my entire life, messing around in ponds, clean, dirty, and everything in between. I have never once seen an ick infestation in the wild. It doesn't happen. Why doesn't it happen? I just explained it. Because it's a parasite, one of countless other parasites living in that same environment. One may survive, get a meal, have some more. The population will be able to continue that way, one here, one there, perhaps indefinitely. That's normal. What is not normal is for fish to die from an infestation in nature. It simply does not happen. So, you want to talk about parasites? Did a video on parasites a while back. Check it out. It's really kind of fascinating. Demonstrates the importance of parasites in order to be able to maintain certain species of fish and other healthy environments. Don't go in the fridge. I love it. I love it. Didn't go to the basement for 8 months. Wow. So you don't have your laundry room in the basement. Good thinking. Billy Bob, can you tell me about the Berlin tank method? Came up in conversation on my last visit to the aquarium shop. Gee whiz. It's comparable to the Dutch method. Um, let's see. Oh dear. How can I do this? I'm getting lost here now. Here we go. I should do a review. That would be good. I should do a review of the Berlin method and of the Dutch method. It's a method of biological filtration for maintaining a stable environment, basically in a saltwater system. It's primarily designed for coral reef. It relies on using live rock with a lot that has a lot of marine organisms and bacteria on it. So it's the foundation of precisely what we're doing here. The Berlin method applied to freshwater is precisely what we're doing. Now, the difference would be there are rocks, small rocks, in streams everywhere on Earth that have been there for a long enough period of time to have built up a substantial coating of living organisms, algae, bacteria, and so forth. Bringing those rocks into the aquarium brings all of that life into the aquarium. I found one that I've got in the saltwater tank. I had one. Where did I put it? It had algae on it. I put it in the tank up here. Now it was an algae that was growing on a rock just adjacent to the water. So it was in a swampy area, and the algae didn't survive when I put it in. We don't have where I live. We don't have any rocks. This is like Florida here on the lower part of the eastern shore. There are no mountains here. There are no rock outcroppings. So we don't have stones, natural gravel in our creeks or streams or rivers or none of it. So I can't get that kind of material here. I've not been able to get out of town yet in order to be able to get up into Pennsylvania to collect some of that material. I need to do it because I need to get it going in my freshwater systems. This is material that's been living on those rocks for decades, if not hundreds of years, and forms a thick mat on it of bacteria, algae, and other microfauna that put in the tank will generate increasing populations of that microfauna. In other words, it will seed the tank. That's the Berlin method in a nutshell. We're basically doing that with the resurrection jar. Scott is saying, not sure what's going on with your channel, but I know what's going on with my fish tank that since I started following you. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's right. And it's really remarkable what's been happening to the channel. Again, just in the last week, 2 weeks at the most. It just, I don't know. It's going to level out, and it may drop back down. I've had that happen. When I've had spikes like this before, they reach a peak and they drop back down about halfway. So it's an increase over where I was, but it doesn't stay at that high level. Every spike I've ever had, that's been the case. I've had 3 or 4 spikes, nothing like this. But I rather expect that's what's going to happen. It will drop back down probably to 100,000 views a day, and then we'll keep building it, and there'll be another spike in a few months. Now there's another possibility. Last December was the beginning of the growth spurt that we saw that took us from 10,000 subscribers to 100,000 over a period of about 10 months. So we could be looking at that as well. Don't know, we'll have to wait and see. We will do our due diligence of keeping up the rate of videos, trying as hard as we can to maintain the quality and improving as we go along. Let me lay out for you a couple of things that are in the works right now, that should, if we can get them on board, we'll be seeing some substantial improvements in the quality of the video. You've seen that already with what Dead Man's Will, our editor, has been doing with our channel. It's utterly remarkable and genuinely extraordinary. And I consider him a partner with me in this enterprise. And I share with him equally with myself. I believe that deeply in what he's doing. I also share with others who are involved in the process. I have a friend who has agreed to come to Maryland from Florida to help put together the audio video component of our videography, of our video program. We're going to actually set up a studio, a professional studio, and we'll be making much more professional quality videos. We also have a new artist or two that are coming on board. We don't know for how long they'll be there, but they're coming on board to help us put together a couple of things. AI, we have a young man, Naresh, who some of you know, who is back with us, who's going to be working on AI, going through all of our live streams and trying to build an AI vocabulary, a fatherfish AI vocabulary that we'll be able to use, not just for videos, but for informational purposes as well. We have an art teacher who's on holiday right now, is trying to put together some iconography for a video in order to be able to have a little cartoon character who will be pointing out various things. So we're looking at more animation, being able to do that in a way that is upscale and effective. We just had today a member who has been ill come back to us, who is back to full health and chomping at the bit to get back in and work on the the technicalities of our videos. That it is a very technical process in terms of how they're posted. There are a whole series of steps involved in doing that appropriately, and this person is back in gear looking at the what's called the SEO for a video. So, and there's some other things happening as well. So we've got some things in place, or that we're putting in place, to be able to dramatically improve and step up our game to be able to do more and better. Another thing we're looking to do is get some of our folks who are on Discord, who are advanced natural hobbyists, to put together videos of their own that we can put on the Fatherfish channel, so we can begin broadening the base of information and personality, in order to make this channel something more than simply the efforts of one person. And it certainly is not. Without all of the people who were involved and have been involved for this last year, we would not be even close to where we are. So, shout out to all of the folks who have been on board, who have worked hard, who are making it happen, to the new folks coming in, to the future for this channel. I am as fired up as I can get. I'm 83 years old. I don't think I've ever been quite this excited and this excited about moving forward, about making all this happen. And I hope it keeps me healthy doing it, because I need all the health I can get. I am losing weight. I'm off 35, 40 pounds from where I was about 7 or 8 months ago, working to get the next 15 off. This is the hardest thing to get rid of. I'm hoping to get it down. Looking to lose another 15 pounds. I hope to be able to have it done by Christmas. That ain't going to happen. Too much Christmas food and too easy to mess up on the diet. And it's all dietary. So by the first of the year, I should be able to get back on track. I'm not gaining, at least. I'm staying stable. I've been checked out by my doctors. So far, everything is looking pretty good. My diabetic doctor is excited with me. Going in for a stress test this week to see if I have any blockages. I don't sense that I do. I'm usually pretty attuned to that. We'll see how that comes out. There always is something, but hopefully not much. We'll see if I have a donut. All right, let me move down here. Mighty Joe Young, getting over surgery, had a tumor removed from your foot. Wow, that's got to keep you out of commission. Remind me so much of my wee granny mustache and all. Beetroot Baron. Yeah, that's worth the wrench, isn't it? If I can do this, there we go. Beetroot Baron. Who is this? Fujiwara. Colton Batchelor was talking about his tank in reference to his comments earlier that the tank just needed more plants. Well, probably so. That is more typically the case. Now, there's another thing it needs too. I ran into someone yesterday who has a heavily planted tank. They were going to wait several months before putting fish in, and that's a mistake because the plants need what vertebrates and invertebrates supply in order for them to be nourished. They need the CO2, they need the ammonia, they need all of the waste product that fish and crabs and shrimp and snails produce in order for the plants to be able to thrive. Now, plants are more forgiving. They can last a longer time, more or less in stasis. But if you let them go too long, they will begin to fail. They'll begin to wither. They'll be able to maintain themselves for a good while, but you don't want to put them through that. Get some fish in that tank day 2, right away. Doesn't need to be many, just a few. You know, Shaq is saying keto with intermittent fasting. I can get to keto. I don't have any trouble doing that. I cannot fast. I have tried and tried and tried. I absolutely can't do it. I cannot go one day without food. It may only be 1,000 calories, may only be 500 calories. What have I eaten today? What have I eaten today? Well, I started out the day pretty bad. I had some leftover tiramisu from dinner last night. We won't talk about that. It was Italian. I ate that. What did I have after that? Shrimp. I heated up some frozen shrimp in my air fryer, about a dozen large frozen shrimp. Cooked them and ate them with nothing on them, just cooked, but no sauce, no seasoning, nothing. I have drunk nothing with sugar in it. I did have a half a bear claw at breakfast this morning, so I've messed up pretty good. I also had one mint. That was 10. I probably have had 500. So I'm not going to lose any weight today. I'm not going to be in keto today. But I won't put on any weight either. That's kind of the way it's been going for the last couple of weeks with this Thanksgiving and then Christmas. I'm just having trouble getting out of that. And I think it's because, well, I don't want to gain weight. I do want to enjoy what I'm eating. And frankly, I can do keto, but I really don't enjoy it. I'm not, I like steak. I'm not crazy about steak. I have false teeth. Makes it really hard to chew. And I'm not a very good cook, so I can't do a really tender steak. I try to buy such, but so I do bacon. I do a lot of seafood, a lot of fish, shrimp, crab, that kind of thing, which I guess is okay. I don't do much in the way of vegetables. No breads, no white flour at all. No pasta, no rice. See, there it is. I ate some rice last week. I ordered a bouillabaisse, not a bouillabaisse, um, a uh, a New Orleans stew that had rice in it, and I ate some of the rice. So it was not a lot, but enough to get me to keep me off keto. I think the problem is I'm not comfortable being on keto. I think that's really I'm not comfortable being on keto, and I'm not comfortable being hungry. Both of those are conditions that I'm having great difficulty overcoming. So I'm going to make a serious effort the first of the year to get serious about it and to get back on track because I really want to lose this next 15 pounds. I just have got to motivate myself to do it. Erie said they asked me, how do I like my eggs? I said, in a cake. Yeah, there's that. I know. Did you hear the bell? That's on my phone. Every time somebody orders something through Shopify, the bell goes off. You want to see something cool? Let me show you this. This is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Let's see if I can do this. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. There it is. Look at that. See this number right here? That's how many orders have come in. 72 orders have come in the last 3 days. I now have 3 people working with me doing pack out, a fourth one coming on. We're at 150 orders a week right now. If it gets up to 200, we'll need to add another person on board to make that happen. Things are absolutely popping. William said bacon's good, but not good for me. A trigger. What is a trigger, Lobo? Don't know what that is. Trager. Cause the steak very tender. Let me look. Let me look this up. Trager. It's a grill, a wood pellet grill. Huh. A wood fire grill. Well, yeah, I need to do a grill. I don't have a grill. That's something I've been talking about doing. I'll get one this spring because I really do want to do some outdoor grilling. I'm also in process of looking at places to move. I'm in a little tiny cottage here, about 200 square feet. No, about 400, 20 by 20, and I'm really jammed in. So I've begun looking at houses. What I've discovered is I can find something affordable that will be really quite nice. I've just got to get out there and start. I looked for one day. I found 2 houses I could have had. Both of them lovely, lovely homes. But about half an hour from where I'm involved in church and from where my business is. So I'm not going to do that. That's out of the question. I need something closer to home. Sea scallops I love sea scallops. Had some last night. Do the Atkins. Yeah, well, here's the problem. It's not it's not that I get hungry because right now I'm only eating once a day. I eat basically one meal a day. And if I'll do it, if I do a little bit for breakfast and then a mid-afternoon meal, then I don't get hungry in the evening. I'm not looking for anything. But if I go without food for an entire day, I get ravenous. By evening, I'm just looking for something to stick in my mouth. And it doesn't much matter what it is. So long as I can swallow it, I'll eat it. And I've got all kinds of things like that in the fridge, the freezer, on the shelf, cans of sardines. I mean, whatever. I can't get past that. That's been the real problem with the 1 day fasting thing. I have yet to be able to do it. I've tried over and over and over again. I can't get past that. It's psychological, I'm sure. Pellet grill smoker. Drink water, eat vegetables and fruit. Something sweet, maybe half a chocolate bar. Try your best to not eat sugar. I do not eat sugar. How long did it take to get 1,500 customers to the store? That's a good question. I don't know. I could probably figure it out. I can check. The store is about 9 months. I've been at it since April, so it's eight to 9 months. I haven't looked at the numbers. I don't know what our total. I'll have to look. I don't even want to guess. Avoid any sugar or carbs. I don't eat carbs either when I'm doing this right. Air fryer does barbecue ribs. I do have some ribs in the fridge, in the freezer. Maybe I'll thaw them out. I like ribs. Pit Pat. We've got a few people here. Oh, a bunch of them. Where'd Pit Pat go? Lord, this thing jumps. There it is. Any tips I grab my fry in a dense planted tank? How to catch them when selling them? Yes, there's a really good trick to catching fish in a planted tank. And the trick is, I don't know if I got one here. Yeah, I do. Here's the trick. Oh, a big net. You don't want to use this kind of net. This is a commercial net. You want to use a net with a flexible handle that you can bend over and kind of pull and push this thing to get it the right shape. But here's the idea. Go into the back of the tank and move the net toward the front, just like that. The fish will dart into it. You come straight up and you've got them. No chasing, no frightening the fish. You just put it in the back, move it forward, and come up quickly. And you'll have virtually every fish in the tank in the net without disturbing the plants. If you got floating plants, it'll be full of floating plants. You can take them out. But that works very easily, takes a little practice. You can do it in such a way as to actually catch an individual fish. if you have your hand in the water and are getting the fish you want to come to the front, trap them against the glass and come straight up. You'll get them 90% of the time. It's a simple system. It doesn't mess up a planted tank. You're not chasing anything around. You're really moving very little. There's very little motion. That much. That's it. 6 inches, 8 inches. And you're done. You got them. Very simple, not obtrusive, catches everything. But you need a big net. 9 inch minimum. Lobo's saying, who's close by to grow me some food? Get a blackstone. What is a blackstone, DB? Blackstone. Something else to type in here. Blackstone. World's, well, that's an asset manager. That's not what you're talking. Blackstone products. There it is right there. Okay. It's a grill. A very nice grill. Wow. All right. That's what I need to do. 400, 300, 350, 200. I can do that. I'm going to get a grill. A good grill. And then maybe I'll get a smoker if I fall in love with grilling. All right. That'll be, it's too cold to do anything right now. We get into March. By then I should be moved. I'm looking to move out of here by February. I want to get my friend up from Florida by then. Need to be in a new house before I can do that because I don't have any place to put them up. So, Summoner, what is happening to the channel? I think we're I think we're viral. I really think we're viral. If I know what viral means, and I'm not at all sure I do, I think we're there. If we maintain the same rate of growth that we're at right now, and have been for the past week, we will be at easily 500,000 subscribers by the end of next year. And with some more growth spurt, we could be at 1 million. Or not. Who knows? I really never thought we'd make 100,000. Oh, speaking of which, guess what I have? Look at that. Put it right there. Yeah. I got a little tape on the back of it. It came off. I'll put it back on. There. I'm waiting to hear from the people who make these things. You can buy more of them to give to other team members. I'm trying to do that. I've got a couple of people who really deserve one of these. I want to try to get them for them. Who's Tommy? Where's Tommy? Nick Rector. Not often hungry since I stopped sugars. Yeah, it's a funny thing. I think it's probably my diabetes. I get panicky because I feel like I have to have something inside. Yeah, habits, right. Pat with that. Yeah, so anyway, that's the way to catch them, with a big net. I'm getting you a wrench, Pat Pat. Stan Pittman. Hey, Stan. A pellet smoker. Starting at 55, should I treat the water for chlorine before I put the substrate in the tank? No, you should put the substrate in the tank before you put the water in the tank. You can't put the substrate in the tank after water is in the tank. So you put the substrate in, you cap the substrate, and then you put the water in. And then the same time you're doing that, you plant plants. Any chlorine that's in there, if you got a sponge filter or just the mucking about, is going to precipitate it. It will gas off. It'll just be gone. Any random chlorine will be picked up by the plants. And then the next day, put some fish in it. Not many, 2 or 3 or 4, depending on the size. Just a few. DB, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get a blackstone. That's the first really good recommendation I have had. By the way, Dee Dee is working with Tisha, putting together an aquascape, a technical aquascape tank. Dee Dee is in New York. Tisha is in, where is she? The Netherlands, Denmark, I think. They're doing this by conference call. It's going to be real exciting. Right now, Tisha is selecting the plants that she'll get through my store that'll be donated to Dee Dee to be able to do this thing. We're making videos of it, so it's going to be available, but that will be a significant part of the aquascape chapter in the book that we're putting together. That'll be a standalone PDF as well. So that's going to be exciting. It'll be another month or 2 before that'll be available. Let's see. Yeah, that's the key. Yes, that's why we have to do 2 inches of sand with an inch of dirt. The soil rises up. There's a principle at stake in that. Larger material in a container that has material in it. The larger material at the bottom will work its way up. Now, it doesn't necessarily come all the way up. What I find in the tank is if you have an inch of dirt and 2 inches of sand, that dirt will come up an inch. And at that point, it'll be pretty stable. It may come up another inch, but it won't take a few months. It'll take a year or more. So once it reaches this 50%, the continued movement slows way down. So you can get away with that. 1 inch of dirt, 2 inches of sand, and that's where it's going to be, right there. In a few months. Advice of rating shrimp separately from my tank in a tub. You know, it really depends on what you're trying to do. They will breed perfectly effectively in a natural aquarium. Why is this? Oh, there we go. If you're trying to raise numbers, all right, may as well get into this. Here's the question. What's the difference between a commercial breeding operation and a natural home aquarium. Typically, there is a substantial difference. Typically, a commercial breeding operation will pull adults into vats and will breed them in vats, bare vats. They will either sift out the eggs if they're not adhesive. They will put mops in to catch the adhesive eggs. They will lay them on some kind of hardscape, like a piece of slate. If they are a fish that cares for its eggs, depends on the nature of the egg as to how the egg is harvested. But the egg is always harvested in a commercial setting. And the reason is that by harvesting their eggs, they can guarantee pretty close to 100% hatch and grow out rate. They can get those babies through that first 4 to 5 days, which are the toughest days if you're leaving them in with the parents. So in a natural environment, you're going to leave the parents with the eggs if it's like a cichlid. Let them hatch them out. Let them clean them. Let them take care of them. Let them guide them around. You'll feed them. You'll lose some. You may lose a lot. Out of the 200 or 300 or 2,000 or 3,000, you may wind up with 5 or 10 or 25 or 50. That's all you really are looking to do. Now, in a commercial setting, you're looking to raise all 1,000 of those eggs. How do you do that? You do it in a clean environment where you have absolute control over every single factor in that environment. The eggs go in new water. When they hatch in new clean water. There is no filter in there. There is no attempt to bring anything other than the eggs in there. There may even be a dye like aquaflavin in order to be able to control bacteria so that no bacteria affects those eggs. 3 days after the eggs hatch, the babies will begin swimming. Now, at that point, there are two directions that the farmer goes in. Number one, he may feed the babies microfoods such as paramecium or microworms. Those are there's a third. It's baby brine shrimp. One of the three he will feed. If they're larger babies, he'll feed the baby brine. If they're like tetras, he'll feed paramecium and can also feed microworm. Microworm's bigger than paramecium, but it's small enough that a baby ram can eat it. Baby tetras really need the paramecium. Baby goldfish need paramecium. Or green water. They'll eat single cell algae as well. This will go on for 3 or 4 days. There may be a transition then to a larger food. At some point in that first 10 days to 2 weeks, those fish will be put in an outdoor mud pond. That is, in a natural system that will be prepared with a flush of microfauna. There are farmers who will put their baby tetras as soon as they hatch and are free swimming into that pond. There are losses in the pond because there are parasites that get in the pond. And more to the point, there are snakes and turtles and frogs that get in the pond, as well as birds that will eat the young and eat the adults as they grow out. So that becomes a numbers game. If they've got, if they have put 100,000 babies in there that have hatched out, they would hope to get 2 to 3,000 out of that pond. In a small pond, that would be an adequate harvest. In a big pond, and by big I mean 50 feet by 20 feet, 1,000 square foot pond, you need hundreds of thousands of eggs in order to try to get between 50 and 100,000 harvestable adults. So you can see that's a very different kind of environment or approach to raising fish than you're going to do in your aquarium. Than you would even do if you're trying to raise as many fry as possible. You're not going to do the same thing. You may take those first few steps, and it's important to learn to do that because you need to be able to feed those babies. It's one of the real benefits of the food web aquarium. If it's a deep food web, as the babies hatch from those eggs that have fallen down into that substrate material, that food web material, as they hatch and begin swimming, they'll have food right in front of their nose because it'll be full of microfauna. They'll be able to eat. They'll be pretty safe from predation. Not many fish are going to be going through there. There are some. One of the worst ones is the Florida native. No, not the Gambusi, the Formosa. Probably the sweetest, most gentle, most desirable, tiniest little live bear you could ever want, and they're a delight. And they're down there in the deepest level of that microfauna at a quarter of an inch full grown male, gobbling up every baby fish they come across. So, tricks of the trade. Rashad, did I give you a wrench? I did. Silver Creek, hello, Silver Creek. A barrel grill he uses. What's happening to the channel? I think, let me bring it up again. I think we are see if we can get it. I think we're going viral. Let's see. Here we go. Let me show you this. Thought I had it. Oh, here we go. Look at this. This is 412,000 views in the last 28 days. In the last, look at this. In the last 2 days, 780,000 views. Now, here's the key. Look at this. This blue line represents new viewers. Look at the blue line prior to December 10th. It's below the purple line, which is returning viewers. And it has been below the purple line from the beginning of the channel for the last 5 years. This is the first time that viewers have gone, new viewers have gone above recurring viewers. And as you can see, it is substantial. Almost triple new viewers compared to returning viewers. 140,000 new viewers yesterday. That's 200,000 viewers in one day. And it's actually higher than that. So I take that to mean we're on a roll. I mean, it looks to me like something absolutely extraordinary is going on. Raised steak and onions. Sounds good to me, Rob. Housing with carpeted stairs gives me the ick. Funny. Eat 6 times a day, small meals. I would eat too much. Tin of sardines, I do that occasionally. Nick says he doesn't do fasting. I can't. I've tried, and I don't know. What happened there? I'm not home. Eating one meal a day or most meals in a short window. That is intermittent fasting. Okay, I hear that. That's good news. So maybe I'm doing it. We always say 1 inch of soil, 2 inches of sand. What happens if I put 3 inches of soil and 2 of sand? What will happen is the tank will blow up. The soil will barrel its way through the sand and will completely foul the water. It'll be a rotten mess, and you won't be able to save it. It will become foul. Try it. Do it. I did it. I did a crazy wild video a couple of years back, about 4 years ago, where I was just taking a handful of stuff and throwing the tank. I I had to take the video down because there were people doing it. Throwing a handful in, then dump some sand in. A 10-gallon tank, mind you. I had like 2 inches of sand. Well, it didn't stay out, did it? 2 inches of sand. 2 inches of dirt, and maybe an inch or 2 of sand. In 2 days, it had blown up. I let it sit for a few more days. It was just totally foul, rotten. It was impossible. So that's why. I sell out of the plants every week. I order 1,000 stem plants a week, and by the end of the week, they're all gone. That's in the 15-pack kit. I put 1 extra in, so it's actually 16 in a pack. Whatever that is, that's like 50 to 60 packs of those a week. Well, Summoner, I'll tell you what it has to do with the Fish Channel. It has to do with my ability to be here another 6 months from now. That's what it has to do with it. If my health goes down at my age, I'm done. Done. I won't come back from it. So it's critical for me to be able to maintain my health. And I depend on the people who care about me to help me deal with that. So sorry if it turns you off for me to talk about such mundane, non fishy subjects. But the reality is, would you rather? Well, I'm not going to put it back. Would you rather me be here or not? I don't do this often. I'm really offended that you raised this issue, Summoner. I really am. I don't do this very often. I'm pretty tight to the wire on talking about just fish stuff. I'll go off occasionally on religion or politics. I don't think I've ever really much talked about my diet. A little bit. But you make me realize I need to talk about it a whole lot more. If it's so unusual to hear me talk about my health, you just haven't heard nearly enough. Destination unknown. I'm from the UK. Been following you after the new year, hoping to get back into fish keeping. Well, we're here to help. Hunger, hunger, right? Pizza is like can't eat pizza. Love pizza, can't eat it. It's just too much carb. I know it, Psycho Plant Lady. I'm working at staying healthy. Reef Hack 3R. Love to see you live. Thanks for taking the time for us. Well, God bless you, Reef Hack. Let's get you a wrench. Better picture that and stay alive. I'm working on it. Bottleneck. Thank you, Bottleneck. Love you guys too. Absolutely do. Cardinals worth neons. Which do I prefer? I've got cardinals in here. I think I actually, well, I'll tell you what I prefer. There's a third one that I prefer, and that's the green neon. I much prefer the green neon. These are cardinals that I got at the Keystone Clash. And they've been like a rock. I've got about 8. I still have 8. I haven't lost one. They're growing, being super healthy. They're hiding. Let me get them out so you can see them. Put a little food in here. They'll come roaring out. They're down. They're down in the grass. Down in the bottom, in the mulm. Looking for good. I see one over there. This is a very fine. It's the Otto uh, baby food. Is what I'm feeding. It's available in the store, and everybody goes for it. There they are. Look at them. Can you see them? Look at. Let me see if I can move the camera without killing it. Well, I got too much light on it. So yeah, the water is green. At night with the light off, when I turn it on in the morning, it's crystal clear. Isn't that wild? By mid-afternoon, it's got this green tint to it. Doesn't get worse than this. I'm sure I can put more plants in and clear it up because the plants will get that. Look at all the food in there. Can you see that? It's really tiny. I put an awful lot in. But I'm loaded with snails in here. So plus I put a bunch of scuds in and I dumped a whole lot of microfauna in today. So there's a lot down in there that will enjoy all this. Look at that. Is that's 7? There's an 8th one. There he is. Just showed up. 4, 7, 8. Yep. So, let's see. Chris Thompson. Stay sunny side up. You betcha, Chris. Get you a wrench. Yeah, this camera, I have a really good camera. I don't use it. Um, I don't use it for live streaming because I don't know how, actually. Oh, but I'll show it to you. There it is. It's a Sony, like $1,000 camera. I make most of my videos on it. Um, and I've got so much equipment here, and I don't even know how to deal with it. I've got a GoPro here somewhere. I don't know where it is. Right. That ain't it. Yeah, it is. I've got it plugged in. A good quality GoPro, which I rarely, if ever, use. So, as I said, I'm hoping to get a friend of mine up here to put together. He's has some experience in cinematography and wants to develop more skills. So I'm going to help him do that and retain his services in the process. I tried to get a niece to come on board, but haven't been able to get her motivated to do that. Green neons, Emily has such a neat little fish. Oh, an abandoned fish store has lots left behind. Wow. Open to explore an abandoned fish store. Well, you should be able to get tanks. It's amazing. If it's been around for a while, you'll be astounded how much is in there. It's just extraordinary. I got rid of, oh my word, because I couldn't keep it. I wound up with a whole bunch of stuff in storage anyway. But I figured it didn't matter because when I got to the place where I could do more, I would get more tanks. And I already have begun to do so. I've already picked up half a dozen large tanks. And that's without even trying. We've got a 150 coming in next week. Complete, that'll be nice, with the stand. Sir Zachariah Kill. Add as moderator. Huh. Who's your spirit animal? Flying Father Fish. Nicholas Hazelwood, can you talk about moths? Yeah, moths is interesting stuff. There are aquatic mosses and there are not aquatic mosses. There are mosses that grow in very dry terrain where they're able to capture moisture in, for example, a rotting log that may be out in a very dry area. That log will contain enough moisture to build a bed of moss growing on it that may live there for years. The spore will hit it, it'll catch, it'll grow. and it could be there for 10, 15, 20 years or more. And in fact, it will build its own substrate in order to be able to sustain itself. Then there are other kinds of moss that live in between. They're bog plants. They live where water is splashing or when they're partially submerged and then immersed. Then there are mosses that are fully submerged mosses. Java moss is a case in point. Um, there are not a lot of them, but if you will, when you get out into a creek, if you will look very carefully, you will find mosses growing on rocks down in the water. Take those back home with you. They are extraordinary in a fish tank. They will thrive in your tank. They're very, very desirable. And they have many other kinds of microfauna on them, as well as macrofauna, that will further seed your tank. So that's a highly desirable find. Will silicone absorb copper? Will silicone absorb? I knew this. Yes, it will. Silicone also, plexiglass will absorb copper. Glass will not, but silicone will absorb it. It'll also get down. It'll. You don't ever just do yourself a favor and never, ever, ever put copper in your fish tank. Absolutely never. No pennies, nothing. No copper sulfate, no chelated copper, none of it. Don't ever put any of it in your tank because it will be toxic and it will remain in the tank permanently. There's another thing you want to never put in your tank, and that's formalin. Formalin does the same thing. It etches into the wall of the tank. It won't do it with glass, but it will do it with silicone. It'll do it with paint. It'll do it with rubber. It'll do it with virtually any other material, and it will kill fish. So a couple of things you want to be careful never to use in your home aquarium. If you need to use them in a separate container, preferably a refrigerator tray or a shoebox that can be thrown away when you're done with it. It's that destructive. Red iron rich sand is highly, highly desirable. The very best sand you can put in your tank is red sand. It's loaded with iron, which is highly desirable in in your aquarium. Can we get natural saltwater tide pool aquarium videos or updates? Zachary, I'm not in a position to do it. I wish I were. And you're right that nothing is quite more exciting than tide pool tanks. Um, Even in Florida, I couldn't do it because there are no rocks in Florida either. We have fossilized coral there, doesn't exist here in Maryland, so that's a bit more helpful. But I remember when I was young, I spent a number of summers in New Hampshire and Maine when I was in college. I spent 2 summers on Star Island, which is 10 miles out from Portsmouth, New Hampshire, out in the Atlantic, and the tide pools there were magnificent. That was such fun, just wonderful. Tannins are not harmful to fish. That's right. You can actually, SK, you can do a dirted natural aquarium with shrimp, and they'll do extremely well. And leaf litter, yes, absolutely. You don't have to do the dirt, but it'll make it so much healthier when you do. Have I owned Danio Chop Ray? I don't remember. Oh, no. That's a Celestixes. The glow light Danio. Pretty fish. I had some Danios in here. I assume I still have a few. I got him from, my brain is gone. Where's Father Fish? Right there. Mm. From Peplin Creek. I got him from Peplin Creek. Nice fish. I don't know where they are. They may not be in here. I think I moved some into another tank. Are the kinds of rocks you should not put into the tank? Yeah, anything that fizzes or bubbles, anything that is not, um, anything that dissolves, you don't want in your tank. So shells, you can do shells, but don't do crushed shell. The thing about shells is it'll get a coating on it and it'll stop dissolving, or at least slow way down. But basically, you don't want anything in there that's going to be active with the water. Uh, a test is any rock you're going to put in. If it's igneous rock, if it's something that you've taken out of water, it'll be fine. Something on the ground in a mountainous area will typically be fine. If there's any question, put it in a bucket and watch it for a while. Are lava rocks good? Lava rocks are wonderful. They're really excellent. Rick Roman, give you a wrench. And post-cut clarity. Is it bad to use mud from a pond as the substrate? Yes. You don't want to use it as the substrate. You can use it as 1/4 of the substrate as a substitute um, for organic material, for what am I trying to think of? For mulch. No. I think I need some food. I'm getting to the place I was at last week where words won't come to me. I need, that means my blood sugar is dropping. Kareem on the sag. I got a secondhand tank with Master Soil. New to the hobby, heard good things about that substrate. Kareem, get over on our Discord channel on the show and check out the formula for substrate. You want to cap that with that master soil. You want to cap it with sand. If you don't, it's going to leach all of its nutrients into the water column. It's one of the fallacies of the so-called soil substrates. They actually are not soil at all. They're simply infused porous gravel or synthetic gravel that's infused or combined with nutrients that will leach into the water column, cause algae blooms, and within a few months to a year will be completely burned out. They will have no food value left at all. So you prevent that from happening by capping it with sand. Rope Sander wishes he could get a wrench again. He's already got one. I'm looking right at it. Winds aloft. Putting the supplement mix in capsules as root tabs. Well, that'll work. Get big ones if you can. Otis Cauldron, wonderful Christmas and Happy New Year. You too, Otis. Thank you. Can we use your supplement? Yeah, that'll work, Winslow. That's not a bad idea. Ideal water pH depends entirely on the fish, of course. But if you're an average for most tropical fish, 7.5 to 8.0 is a preferable pH. That will allow you to do everything that you would otherwise like to be able to do. Simon Marshall, add a moderator. And Simon says, set up a 10-gallon with an inch of organic potting soil, light leaf litter, inch and a half of sand, sponge filter. After a week, the tank looked like soda. Thoughts, Father Fish? Well, you did not follow the formula. Organic potting soil should comprise no more than 25% of the dirt layer of the substrate. 25% potting soil, 25% humic material, and 25% compost. 1 inch of that in a tank smaller than 55 gallons. And that's 1 inch mud. Not soup, but mud. With 2 inches of sand on top of it. 1.5 inches won't do. It will leach through 1.5 inches. It will not leach through 2 inches, at least not in the first several months. What do I recommend for a good magnifying lens? I don't know where mine is. Oh, there it is, right there. I have this. Which I like real well. It's kind of scratched up, and I don't even remember where I got it. But they're fairly commonly available. Just look around a bit, you'll find one. This is convex on both sides, so you can flip it and magnify with it. Does a pretty good job. It's maybe 10x. Having a filter with a heater in one unit, if it's a decent quality, you can get away with that. Composted chicken manure, black cow, yes, absolutely. 25% manure or compost. 25% potting soil, 50% peat or coir. Combine that with if that's 2 part, 1 part, 1 part, then 1/4 part father fish supplement. Combine that with water to make mud. Lay that 1 inch deep in the tank. Cap it with 2 inches of sand. Doesn't need to be washed sand. You're going to put the sand in before you put the water in. And cover the surface with a plastic bag or a plate or something, anything, and fill the tank with water. Then you can put your hardscape in. If you'll do it that way, you don't need to clean the sand because all of that tiny particulate matter, a lot of which is clay, is going to stay down in there. There are some sands that have so much clay in them that they will poof up pretty easily. So you may need to cap them with a better a more pure sand, with maybe a coarser grade sand to be able to hold that down. 1/2 inch will do. Inch is more than enough. But the benefit of that is that that particulate matter has a lot of nutrients in it. So you're getting more nutrients down in the substrate, not in the water column. And your cat, cacti and succulents that can be grown in or out of the aquarium. A succulent, by its very nature, has roots that don't like to get their feet wet. Succulents do not like to be in wet soil, and so they absolutely will not survive in an aquatic environment. Yeah, there are plants that'll die with too much water. Absolutely. Um, African violets, too much water, and the roots will rot. I don't know what the vinegar thing is. Right. If I use RO water, do I need salt to make? Um, you not only need salt if you're going to do um, to mimic Amazonas habitat. Here's the thing: the pH of Amazon water ranges from 6.0 to 8.0. In the dry season, where it's all come back into the riverbed, the pH goes up. In the rainy season, the pH goes down. So you have this annual uh, curve, huge bell curve, that's running from 6.0 to 8.0 over the year. So the fish can tolerate high or low pH. In your tank, you don't want to do that. You can have it either way. I find the fish tend to be healthier in hard water once you get past the level of worrying about fouling the water. They'll do better in hard water than soft water. Um, but then it's really an area where you can experiment with it and do what works best for you. Lobo, happy to have you with us. Bye for now. It's 8:15, he's going to see a movie. Yeah, pothos and spider plants love their roots in the water. Oh, do I like pepper curries? Sure I do. I like all curries. I don't have very many. I have a few. I haven't gotten a lot of them. I think I've got one pygmy curry in here. A I pygmy curry. Hybrosis. One hybrosis in here. Had to redo it dirty, even though capped with 3 inches. Air bubbles came up with fury, and it smelled foul. Some soil is better than others. Yeah, you can screw it up. That 10% of the time it can be screwed up, but 90% of the time it works. And it's not always a matter of being faithful to the formula. I believe it's possible to screw up and be faithful to the formula. There are variables that are not always immediately apparent. Just do it again if it fouls. Break it down, do it again. Now, if it fouls a month or two down the road, let it sit. Get out the fish that are not dead. Well, get out the dead ones too. Let it sit there, it'll straighten itself out. If it has been straight and it goes foul, it will come back to a balanced position. You don't need to get rid of it. It'll straighten itself out in a week or less. Doesn't take long. But in the case where Beth is talking about, where the tank was simply foul from day one, you're better off doing it again and just watching, looking at what you're putting in. You may have raw waste, raw cow dung, for example. No matter how small the quantity is, it's going to foul the tank because it's going to create so much ammonia that it'll burn everything up. So you don't want to do that. It has to be aged. It has to be well cultured. That's the problem with using pond mud. It can be pretty raw sometimes. You you've got a giant pleco. I know a lot of people who swear by autos. I don't have any, but they're probably the best because they don't get real big. They're not like a Chinese algae eater that can get 5, 6 inches or some of the big loaches. The autosynclus stays under 2 inches, and it's a workhorse. It's really a good fish to have in your tank. Josh is talking about dropsy, grassy quadrangle. Trying to get these wrenches caught up here. Josh Daniel. What are we at? Oh my. We're at 228. We have 2 people in YouTube. Welcome, you guys. Roxy. Josh is saying got 2 leopard frog flacos. Temperature dropped to 73. They should be okay. Try to get it back up. Get another heater. But leopard frogs, flacos generally can take cooler water pretty consistently. They're a deep water fish. They will live in water that's 100 feet deep. And water at the bottom, thermocline, is always cooler. They can live in water that's down in the 60s. So the lower temperature is typically not going to hurt them. Josh says fish are bloated and eyes are bulging. Put salt in. You need a tablespoon per, I would do a tablespoon per 3 gallons for 2 days. If it doesn't help, increase it by 50%. You've got a bacterial infection, you need to get rid of it. And they're probably not eating. If they are, you can get some antibiotics, food, and feed them that to get rid of the internal parasite. But if they got bloated eye, bloated is internal. Eye bulge can be treated with salt. See if you can find an antibiotic. Use that, but salt will do. Salt will go a long way. You can also, if they're eating, put some crushed garlic in there. Crushed garlic, if they eat it, will also kill the bacteria. If they're bloated, they may not be eating. It may be a little late for them. You can try to kill it. Let's see where else we are. Normal Epsom salts. It will, it doesn't have the chloride, but it'll work. You can do Epsom salts. It's got potassium. It needs sulfate to kill the bacteria. Cosmic Cat Lord. Your wall stick got mixed up. Just cap it. Cap it with another inch of sand. And you'll be okay. Table salt or Epsom. Epsom without herbs. Yeah. Try to get a better quality salt. Kosher salt is perfect. It's natural sea salt. Infinite SRH. Trying to propagate Anubias and Java. Fox Farm Ocean Forest soil. Well, they don't need soil, they need nutrients in the water column. Just having that in there will leach out nutrients. I would add some fish to it, little ones, guppies, or even shrimp. Something that's going to create some CO2 and ammonia, because that's really what the plants are going to need. Let's get you a wrench. Garlic salt or minced garlic? No, it's not a substitute for crushed garlic. There is no substitute for crushed garlic. You know, I never found out what happened to the piranha. It was a big black piranha that somebody stole. I hope it bit their finger. I checked with local fish stores and they didn't see it. They probably killed it. Yeah, garlic, clove, and salt. Something else should always have is some garlic lasts for a long time. And if you crush it, it's a desirable food. Fish will definitely eat it. Church piranha. Uh, Jake Slater, brown algae blooms after changing the filter. Well, it means that your filter was absorbing a lot of nitrates, so you need to get more plants in the tank. It's kind of I don't know, Grassic. It's weird. I looked at that and I thought that's crazy, just crazy. Why would stupid kids take a fish out of a fish tank, particularly a big one like that? I just hope they grabbed it and it bit their finger. Didn't see any blood, but I was hoping to. Alex Kaplan. Her brother's kid is abusing her better. It's in the cup it came in. Uh, Give her a bowl. Get a little glass bowl, about a gallon bowl. Set it up with a little dirt in the bottom and some plants. Take it over there and give it to her. Take the fish out and dump it in there. Just do that. When a brand new tank, I like to leave the lights on 24/7 for a couple of weeks. It's more important that they do photosynthesis than it is that they have a dark period or that the tank have a dark period. In other words, you're trying to get algae growth or plant growth. So you want to pump the light to it to get as much growth as you possibly can. Once you start getting algae, you can back it off. Get her, yeah, get her a bowl, right? Right, just do it. And be excited for her that she's got such a wonderful animal. And you're going to teach her how to keep it. And go on Father Fish and look at Father Fish setting up a glass bowl for a betta. Oh, I need to. Joe Metal, I really need. You know what? That's what I need. I need to do. Well, I started doing Wednesday night with Alex. I think we'll get into that. He and I are doing a Wednesday night thing at 8 o'clock my time, 5 o'clock Pacific time. I think we'll invite some of the nature channels, natural tank channels, to come join us so we can talk with them. That'll be fun. We can do that. That's a great idea. Fluval 3.0 light worth the cost. There are cheaper options that are just as good. Um, I'll tell you frankly, I really like the LED floodlights. They're inexpensive. They're enormously bright. They don't they don't cone light. So you need to get a bunch of them. One, two, three. So I've got $80 worth of light on here. That's approaching the level where it may not be quite as economically feasible as you would like it to be. But if you don't have one, it'll darken it. I mean, or if I can pull, I don't want to do it. If I pull a plug, I will not be able to get it back. But if one of these is darkened, um, it'll make it dark right there. This because the light doesn't come from LEDs; it kind of goes straight down. The benefit of that is it goes all the way to the bottom. You don't lose lumen going through the water. Ooh, we do. Yes, that's been fun, Donna, with Alex. Yeah, keep the lights on for a while, for a week or two anyway. Waiting on cake, says Erie. I love cake. I have had a piece of cake. It was a fruit cake, a, a baked fruit cake that was like like a spice cake, only with fruit. It wasn't dense the way fruitcake is. It was just amazingly good. One of the ladies at the church made it just to die for. Yeah, I'm a sucker for cookies too. So, that's the problem. This is the season for everything that tastes good and is not good for you. So I indulge, not a lot, but I indulge. I couldn't get through Christmas without tasting a cookie or a piece of fruitcake or succotash. I love succotash. You don't know what that is? It's lima beans and corn. Well, it's possible to get it, second plant lady, without sugar, but it's all right. It's not the same. Yeah, I have a little. I don't eat a lot of it, just a little. Enough to thoroughly enjoy it. Somebody is knocking out the 700. William Adkins, subscribers shut up on Fish Story. That was part of it, I'm sure. Absolutely. Oh, Paulson's garage. I just restarted it and had gravel and sand. Water turned green. Talked on Discord, then watched the algae face palm. Soak in rum. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Um, in Discord, I don't know if you can do a donation in Discord. You can do it certainly on YouTube. There should be, if you go down below the chat, there should be a donation sign down there somewhere. What is this? I've got 19, 20 thumbs up. That can't be right. With 222 watching, I'm at 20 thumbs up. That's peculiar. What, they go over 1,000 or something? That's weird. Mark Fenner, which is it? Well, start over or build a food web. You can get away with it by building a food web. That actually does work, and it's not a bad way to go. 357, 348. That's interesting. 248. Yeah, that's funny. I have where is it? I have 20. Too weird. And if I click on it again, it goes back to 19. Too weird. Do I have a PayPal? No, I do not. I do not have PayPal. I was banned from PayPal for life a few years ago. 405, says Bartholomew. Wow. I think it's a bug. Yeah, I think you're right, Sawdust. Getting you a wrench. We get some wrenches here before I go. We're about out of time here. Zeuslia, 404. What do we got? 220, 223. Linda Snow is Snook. Welcome, Linda. Thank you so much. He's rich now. Yeah, right. You go. I tell you what, where all that money is going, it's going to pay for people to help me build this thing. I had a guy, I'll tell you this story. I had a guy who was dying to get on board, had me convinced that he knew how to get me to $1 million. He wanted 15%. He wanted a percent, wanted a cut of my profit. Well, I kept going around in circles with this because I didn't know what profit meant because I don't do profit. If I got a little money, I put it into something. I pay somebody to help me do something. I buy something I need, like the camera I use. It's a resource. And he got angry and left because I didn't understand profit. Still don't. Freshwater mussels, yeah, I do. And clams, I like clams too. Stephanie Hurst, I have a pair of canaries. That's the male who sings all the time. You hear him chirping. All right, cake's on him. Good to have a dark hiding place. Too true, too true. Let's see, Dan, get you a wrench. All right, we are at the end of it. We're 2 hours down. 223 plus 44. What's 44? All right. Prefix means they got once. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's exactly what I thought. That's more than I make. Love you guys. Len PH just joined Discord, and you now are wrenched. All right, my dear friends. Love you all. See you Wednesday. I'll be over on Discord. Things are cranking along there. Just get involved, join us. We're having so much fun. If you want to get involved and do something, there are open doors everywhere. Love you all. Bye for now. Be back Wednesday. See you Wednesday.